Hi, and welcome to part two of GSBS exam support. We are going to go through the things that apply to you after all your revising is done. And I'm going to start off with the basics that may appear kind of simple, but in actual fact are really important. So you really have to take time to understand and know when the exams are and where they are. Are they online? Are they in a room? And what do they involve? And some exams can be quite technical that you have to pick. There'll be sections and you pick questions from each section. So they might ask you to pick a question, pick two questions from section A and one question from section B. Or it might be the other way around, pick one question from section A and two from section B. There may be other elements to it that they may ask you to do. You have to be prepared and understand that before you start, because any confusion over what they're asking you to do can lead you to answering too many questions, not enough questions, or if they have asked you to answer one question from section A and two questions from section B, and inadvertently you do the other way around and you have to, then one of those questions is not going to be marked. They are very inflexible about that. So really understanding what you've been asked to do by looking at past papers or asking them to tell you what that is really important. The other stuff here, have an idea of when you're going to start and stop each question, or when you're going to start a question. All the things in blue say what I'm doing, and then the other bits are when I actually start my question. So I'll remember, importantly, that if I want to be on time with my exam, I want to start my second question at 10:05. That's the takeaway. So I would rehearse this. I would look at this before I go into the exam and say, right, 10:05, I want to be starting the second question. And then I don't need to work out the time. It's there. I've rehearsed it. I know it. Try to work out how much time you've got left in an exam when you're under pressure can be quite difficult and quite time consuming. So do that ahead of time and kind of rehearse it. So you're in the exam, you sit down, you turn over the paper, identify the questions you're doing if there's a choice. Write down that mind map, write down that dates, formulas, that just spew out information that you need, that revision card, that mind map, whatever it is. Immediately write that down because that's a memory-based thing. But then stop, take time, plan, look at the question, try to understand the question, convert the question into a form that you understand in your terms, simplify the question, saying, well, what they're looking for is me to investigate something and see how it had an effect on something else. Simplify the question so you understand it, and then plan what are the paragraphs, what are the things you're going to need to talk about, write them out, and then what order are you going to do them in, try and work that out, and then start. And leave time to check things over. The most common thing people say to me is my mind went blank. If that's the case, move on to something else. If you're trying to remember a paragraph and you can't, leave a space. Move on to the next one that you can write. If you're about to start a question, your mind goes blank, try another question. You do not need to answer your questions in any specific order. You need to do the questions, but you can do one before another one. The order you do them in does not matter. So if your mind goes blank on a question, move to another one. If you're trying to start the last one and you can't, start checking the other one. Look for something else to do in between time. And most often, when you stop trying, it's when you remember. Have you ever done that when you're trying to remember something, you can't, and then you forget about it, and then 10 minutes later, I don't know how it happens, but the answer actually jumps into your head, and then you'll start going again. So move on to something else if your mind goes blank. Be as prepared as you can be, okay? But yeah, being stressed, if you're a bit stressed, that's okay. Stress can be useful. Don't worry about it. But have you done enough? Sometimes the stress comes from not having done enough. So if you've prepared better, you'll be more confident, you'll be less stressed. Common mistake, take time with the question. Work out how much you're going to write. Try don't overdo one question at the expense of another. Write three equal length question answers. Don't do a big question, then a smaller question, and then 3 paragraphs. Work out, if you have this system, you will prepare 3 equally length answers that will fit and be done. So don't spend too much time. Don't write a big answer. Write 3 equally or 2 equally or equal length answers. And that way you'll have enough time left. Everything will work out for you. Okay. You want to avoid that, doing a really good question, but it's too big and it leaves you not enough time for the others. Try and make them of equal consideration, I guess is what it is. So yeah, know your start time. Leave gaps between paragraphs. Therefore, if you forget something and you remember it later, you've got a space to put it in. So if you're writing a paragraph and you forget something, leave a space after it. And then when it comes to you, you can write it in and then feed it back. And if you're all out of time, oh man, bullet points, an essay plan. I was going to talk about this. You might pick enough marks to pass the exam as a complete. You might not pass the question, but you might get enough between those two other answers or whatever and what you. If something happens, it